tomorrow on a boat.
Yeah. On a ferry across the fucking channel.
Yeah, but don't do it then. Just
I'm driving all the way to Portugal, bro.
Just do it. What time are you going to
go? Rolling now.
What time are you going to go to bed tonight?
Yeah, but I won't know if Bruno Fernandes is in the... is it a later kick-off anyway?
Yeah, it don't matter. Just do it in the morning before you get in the car. I know that's what you'll be thinking about.
What's the difference of doing it tomorrow or doing it now?
Because someone today might score less than Jude Bellingham, right?
That's true.
It's a good point, James, yeah.
I've only got 2 players today playing. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Euro 2024. My name's Suj.
And my name is James.
Oi, oi.
Savaloy.
Yes, indeed. Another day, another dollar. England are awful, hey?
Great.
I really feel like, obviously, the last couple of days you've been with Clates and you've had Angus
yesterday
on as well. My feeling this morning was that we were gone from, at the start of the tournament, thinking there's so many teams that can win it, to actually...
Spain.
Italy got no chance. England got no chance. Belgium looked rubbish maybe as well. Portugal didn't look exactly great. Is there actually that many teams that can win it based on what we've seen so far? Yeah. Big nations aren't particularly happy, maybe bar Germany and Spain, as you mentioned.
Do you want to give the speech about your leaving podcast?
Oh, please, Portugal win. I've decided today is my last day officially living in England. It's last day officially living here. Every time I come back to record with you now in the studio, which I will be doing, I'll be a guest. I'll be a guest of Her Majesty, not in prison. I'll be a visitor to this country.
Are you sure it's not of His Majesty?
It feels really, I forgot Queenie died. It really is, it's bizarre. Tomorrow, I'll just jump in the car, as we just talked about, probably Nico's little intro. Between the hours of 12 and I get on the ferry at 12, arrive in France at 3 o'clock, and that's it. I'm officially European.
Okay. Toodle-doo.
Yeah. It'll be sad, but it is what it is.
We can't wait. We're going to have a party.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
Every day.
I'm just hoping that Portugal win the Euros now because I've decided that a open-top bus parade in Portugal will be better than an open-top bus parade in London.
Do you know what?
I wouldn't go to open-top parade.
No, I don't think I would either.
I'd be too scared. It'd be too mad,
would you be
too
scared
rowdy. Everyone just getting too wasted.
It's
that whole thing outside Wembley would happen.
There's too many dickheads.
Yeah, there is. I just wouldn't want to bother.
I hear you.
Let's talk about some of these games and then we'll cap off by talking about a bit of Euro fantasy.
We're going to spend about 45 minutes here talking about Slovenia against Serbia, 30 seconds on Denmark, England, and a bit longer on Spain, Italy.
I feel like that's a fair split.
Okay, cool.
Slovenia won, Serbia won.
2 shit teams drew 1-1. Let's talk about England.
It was the perfect result for obviously Denmark and England, right? You want to help.
Was on my way out. I dived into bookies and watched the last 10 minutes of this before I got on a tube. And yeah, when Serbia equalised, I was like, "Oh, that's a touch actually." Just because there was a little bit of jeopardy with Slovenia winning. But actually, I was watching the first half and I was thinking, I don't really care what happens here. You know, England are so good that it doesn't really matter what the result is. I certainly wasn't sweating on one result or the other. But when Serbia did equalise, I think, "Oh, that's handy because we can finish this today."
Yep.
And I think Serbia 1-1 was about the right result from what I saw of the game. Mitrovic missed loads of chances in the second half. They both had opportunities in the game. I think Slovenia showed, here's probably the bad news, folks, that they will probably be a tough nut to crack on Tuesday evening, and we can't wait for that one, can we? They're different. They play 4-4-2, but they'll go very narrow and compact in the midfield area. It's not going to be easy to play through.
Do you think anything from any of these teams, Slovenia, Serbia, interest you for match week 3? I mean, you're on Limitless, right? Like me. So yeah, I'm with you. There's nothing of interest.
Probably a case for Jan Oblak, the Slovenia goalkeeper. No, not really. Serbia brought Tadic back in yesterday, and he'll probably play again against Denmark, I would have thought. And if Vlahovic might come out now that, I mean, it's Jovic. He did really well with the equalising goal because he's getting really pulled down. But I think they're a better set up with that, with Tadic behind what's going on in front of him. But, I mean, these are 2 difficult teams to beat. Let's be really honest about it and not paint it any differently.
Yep. Denmark won. England won. I didn't watch this, James. I didn't get to.
My God,
running around to do.
You're the luckiest person in the country, mate.
I haven't heard anything good about it. The only thing I've heard good this morning, David James was on BBC Radio 5 Live, and he said, "Listen, the last 2 tournaments that England have been in, we won the first game, drew the second, we got to a semi and a final. So don't sweat it. It is what it is." But there are so many question marks right now around Southgate. A lot of the blame being laid at Southgate's feet in terms of tactical setup. He's not a good manager, square pegs, round holes, all of that kind of stuff. In terms of Trent being played in midfield again, is that the right thing to do?
Yeah.
But also, it wasn't great.
Okay.
It wasn't a good performance.
This analysis is quite difficult. Pre-tournament, we stressed there will be a game like this. There will be a game where afterwards we reflect on it and we go, this team is not good enough. We're not going to win this tournament. And we thought that would happen because historically, as you just said, it is what happened. Nobody thought after England probably could have lost to Scotland at the last Euros that we would go on and reach the final. There was nothing in that group stage. Even the Czech Republic game in the third group stage game was the most drab game of football. But then one light bulb moment against Germany and the whole country's off, right? Then it's Ukraine, boom, we're on one. And similar at the last World Cup as well. I mean, again, USA were arguably the better side against us in the second group game. And that night, the only positive out of it was everyone was going, oh, blimey, Harry Maguire played really well tonight. Wasn't good at all. The difference with, I think, this and the last 2 tournaments is there was a first group game that really pleased everyone. So in the Euros, we beat Croatia 1-0, which was the toughest game in the group, and they were considered a really dangerous opponent who'd obviously knocked us out in the semi-final of the previous World Cup. And we played all right, and we deserved to win that day, and it was really warm in London that day. And the World Cup, it's Iran first game. You're obviously expected to win, but England don't win opening games in major tournaments 6-1. Everyone was quite happy. Everyone was a little bit down on the Serbia game and the way it progressed. I sat here on Monday and said, hopefully that was the bad one. And I sort of convinced myself that maybe it was. I'd also watched Denmark on Sunday and wasn't overly impressed. And the laughable thing about this is I'm not that impressed with them today either. On Monday, I had excuses for England because of the way Serbia changed to a man-to-man structure during the game. I think it was very unexpected, and that explained away the problems of what happened. I don't have an answer today to explain what happened yesterday, other than to say we're not as good as we all think we are, probably, and we drew 1-1 against an equally average opponent, frankly. Denmark aren't going to go and win this tournament.
Yeah, England still could.
Not on that showing yesterday,
well,
boss.
Here's the thing. You said we're not as good as everyone thinks we are. You can't deny that we still, as a squad, have up there as one of the most talented set of players that exist. So the issue is not the level of ability of the players right now. It's the formation, structure, tactics, whatever it might be, right? So a tweak in that will change the game. Like it's Denmark can try whatever tactical setup and structure they want. It's going to be hard for them because of the quality of the players. We have the quality of players that can win the tournament. It's just finding that right formula of how you're going to get the right structure on the pitch. Now, a lot of people I know who I spoke to briefly yesterday was talking about Anthony Gordon should come in on the left and play Foden centrally, but then where do you put Bellingham because of that? Why is Cole Palmer not getting into the team despite being the best player in the Premier League all season consistently? It's a tricky one to squeeze everybody in. There is a formula, I think, that will work, that will get England singing and dancing and playing amazing well.
Please tell us what it is.
I don't know what it is,
okay.
But there is one, right? There's no way, it's impossible that there's not a structure that will work for this squad of players. We just got, I'm not getting paid what Gareth Southgate is getting paid to figure it out, James. I'm not here professing to be a tactical genius, but there's that level of quality. Got to find a way of unlocking it. It's going to be Pep couldn't.
I'm going to be really honest and say, because I know there's like, you must play this or you must do that. I'm actually not sure what the solution is.
Yeah,
with this,
me neither. This was
because every time I try and think of solutions, you go, oh yeah, that works, but then that doesn't work.
Who's the sacrifice?
It feels a little bit like that.
I didn't hear Gareth Southgate after the game, but my friend, shout out to Alex, he said to me that Gareth Southgate said after that I don't have a Calvin Phillips-like player. I meant to go and find the clip just to prove to myself that he actually said it.
It's real. I've seen it. Which
that's
Nico's laughing behind the camera.
Come on, man.
It's not. Look, here's what I would say on that. I've said this for the last couple of years, and I said it going into this tournament. We need to put, when we spoke about sort of Gallagher versus Trent, we need to have the player on the pitch that's going to be the best partner for Declan Rice. And Calvin Phillips was an outstanding partner for Declan Rice. And I think that's easily forgotten. I mean, we should probably look at it in hindsight as well and even go to Jordan Henderson was a good partner for Declan Rice, right? So it's probably more interesting. He didn't. He said Phillips rather than Henderson.
Let me give you 4 names, right? You got Kobe Mainoo, Adam Wharton, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Conor Gallagher. They're the 4 options we maybe have for that.
Yep.
If you're worried about not having a player like Calvin Phillips, of those 4 players, the furthest from Calvin Phillips might be Trent. Maybe defensively minded. Or would you say Trent's the most similar to Calvin Phillips?
I think
because of his distribution. Because Calvin Phillips can ping passes quite well. Or used to be able to.
Yeah, but didn't so much for England.
Okay, so who's the most like him from those 4?
It's probably Gallagher.
And Trent is quite a different player, I would suggest. So pick the player that's most like Calvin Phillips if you're going to miss Calvin Phillips.
The problem is, though, you say about the great players we've got, and we do have great players.
We do. You
but
can't deny it.
We've unfortunately got 2 players at the moment that we can't really unlock their true ability in. One is Phil Foden, which is fairly obvious. The other is less obvious. It's Declan Rice. Mm-hmm. We're not unlocking what we want from Declan. That yesterday was his worst performance, I think, since he last wore a Republic of Ireland shirt.
England gets West Ham Declan Rice, and we want Arsenal Declan Rice, in the sense that a 4 versus an 8 or 6 versus an 8.
Well, the only way you're going to get the Arsenal Declan Rice or even West Ham Declan Rice is exactly that, and someone, therefore, has to take responsibility to go and get the ball off the back 4 and be really comfortable. I think there's only one person in the squad who's capable of doing that. Well, actually, no, I think there's 2. One is Adam Wharton, and the other one is John Stones. And he's not going to look at either of them things as solutions.
Because as soon as you add Rice further forward, you're taking another option away, where you're trying to squeeze in all of the talent. It really is an impossible jigsaw.
All the screaming through should play with Rice is like last night again. There was like a big clamour for Kobe Mainoo. I was seeing a lot online, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But then there's also those who watched the Iceland game were like, oh, it can't be Kobe Mainoo, and then going into game 1 against Serbia, it's like, well, it's got to be Trent over Gallagher. And now we're looking at, but it can't be Trent anymore. It's not working. And I agree, it's not working. 2 games now isn't, 1 game, move on. 2 games, I agree. He's got to look at a different solution. But within that as well, there's a lot of players who didn't play well last night. I mentioned Declan Rice. James McLean would be well happy with that Ireland analysis, by the way. John Stones, I didn't think played well. Harry Kane didn't play well. Jude really was the first one, in my opinion, that should have come off the pitch based on what was happening. And you look at the game and go, you can't take Jude off, and I don't disagree with that. Non-existent. Non-existent. And I said on Monday that there was times I was watching him off the ball and I'm thinking, you're not helping here. Yeah. And yesterday it stood out massively throughout the whole game that he was a big structural problem for England. Whether it was him finding space, finding the ball, dropping short, all of it with him felt wrong yesterday. And I'm not suggesting we take Jude Bellingham out of the team, of course I'm not. Because at the same time, exactly what we said Monday was this fella might carry us all the way. And so you deal with that as part of your makeup. But then that also doesn't help at the front end. Like, do I think, as good as they both are, is Kane and Bellingham a good partnership? Have we ever sat down and discussed this?
Well, how many games have they played together? But I don't know if it necessarily is. Do they? Well, but Bellingham can run beyond Kane, so through balls. But Bellingham's not going to do what Son did, right? He's not a pace merchant like Son is to really stretch. He'll get beyond, but not in the same way. So I don't know if necessarily feeding balls through to Bellingham is a good partnership. Not sure.
And I'm not suggesting we take either of those two players out of the team. No. It's more the point that let's just accept that's not going to happen. I was surprised he took Kane off yesterday. I didn't have a problem with it, by the way. Because I think, quite frankly, you could have probably taken nearly everyone bar Jordan Pickford and probably Mark Gay off the pitch yesterday, and you could have given a claim for doing so. So it's like trying to find a solution. You look down and you go, right, he's not taking Kane out of the team. He's not taking Bellingham out of the team. And the more you stare at this...
He's not taking Rice out of the team.
No, you wouldn't want him to.
Stones out of the team.
Declan Rice didn't play well yesterday.
He's not taking
but we wouldn't play without him.
I think even the likes of Saka's not getting dropped.
The left side of the pitch is obviously a massive problem. I think the irony is, I actually think Phil Foden's played all right in both games. Yesterday, I felt like he was trying to take the initiative more and more on it. And it's like, none of us want to take Phil Foden out of the team, right? But the way the game's working at the moment, England have got such a bias to what they're doing towards one side of the pitch. It's so obvious it's becoming easy to stop. So that left side just doesn't exist. That's not Phil Foden's fault. I also don't think it's Kieran Trippier's fault particularly as well. Although he wasn't good yesterday, he was much better against Serbia. I'm looking yesterday, and you reflect on the goal, right? Which, I mean, that in itself almost sums up England's performance. Kyle Walker, reads a moment and bursts in behind, and then the whole country is shouting, fucking cross the ball, mate. Get on with it. How long are you going to take? And then it's a couple of lucky ricochets and Kane scores. Fine. Who's standing right next to Kane on his left?
Jude?
Kieran Trippier.
Oh.
Kieran Trippier. And I thought about that. Like, you think we could have easily fallen to trips 6 yards out and he scores. I wouldn't not fancy him in that sort of situation. But the more I think about it, the more I keep going back in circles and think, well, if he's going to play that position and he's going to be so high, which is what he's being tasked to do, should we generally be sitting here and going, what I said pre-tournament, Saka or even Gordon as the left back? Because they're being so high anyway, then you can get Foden on. But then also, you're going to have periods without the ball, particularly later in the tournament when you play better teams. Do you want Saka or Gordon sitting there as your left back?
You think Luke Shaw would probably do a better job?
Well, Luke Shaw, according to a few rumours I'd heard, was still trained on his own. So that's now gone from, he might play against Denmark to now I think we've been questionable if he's going to be back at all.
Wow.
Because the way we could end up playing, say, Belgium in the last 16, if Belgium keep cocking up their group and if actually England still beat Slovenia, could easily be Belgium as a third place team and that's who we play. And I wouldn't overly fear that particularly. But when you think about the flanks, what they're going to do from Jeremy Doku, boom. And Jeremy Doku, I think is extremely erratic. Would I want Luke Shaw to walk in and play against that? How do you bring him on into that scenario? You bring him on later and they go, actually, let's get Bakayoko on with his fresh pace. And then afterwards, if we're lucky enough to win, then you're playing against really superior opponents and stuff. I just think, I don't know where you bring it in. He's not played football for 4 months. I think we was all hoping he's going to feature in the group stage. If he's still training on his own, if that's right...
It's going to be difficult. Tell me something about Denmark. I mean, their work rate was good, right? They pressed well.
Yeah, look, defended well.
You'd back them to beat Serbia and go through now?
Not sure, actually.
Okay.
No, not.
I thought you'd back them to beat Serbia.
No, I'm not, actually.
So whoever wins out of that game is definitely going through. Because they're both on 1 point now. Denmark are on 2. But if Serbia win, they'll go to 4 points. They'll go through.
What's Serbia on? Serbia are on 1, Denmark are on 2, and Slovenia are on
2 now.
2.
Yeah.
I mean, it's conceivable that someone finishes second in this group on 3.
Yep.
It's very conceivable, which I suppose would most likely for that would be Denmark. Mm-hmm. But it might even play in that with Denmark looking at, need to draw here to finish second, possibly.
Yep.
If England were to deal with Slovenia,
Serbia will go for it, right? Because they a win or nothing for them now.
Yeah, I'm not that enamoured with Denmark. I think they did a smart thing moving Christensen to left-sided centre back to let Vestergaard sit in the middle of the back three. Morten Hjulmand, who scored the goal, was much better than he was against Slovenia in the opening game. Pierre-Emil Højbjerg, ridiculously again, Suj. I'd love Tottenham to buy this Danish midfielder.
When are you going to get Denmark?
It's really
Højbjerg,
crazy.
Not Tottenham Højbjerg.
But the game suited him.
Yeah.
Christian Eriksen, I thought, was quite quiet, really. Mm-hmm. The front two were pretty quiet. They brought Joachim Mæhle in at right wing back. It's fine. And Christensen at left wing backs had the disaster moment where he just doesn't see Kyle Walker come in. And as shit as England were, you reflect on the game and go, did we deserve to lose though? No. Like
4 big chances, I think.
Like, say like with the effort Scotland put in against the last Euros and the chances that they probably go, Scotland probably deserved to win that. Do I look at Denmark yesterday and go, oh yeah, Denmark deserved to beat England? No, not really. And the more you think about it, it's just the worse it makes you feel about England. The irony is that we knew that we would have this moment and it still feels like shit this morning.
Yep. Primarily maybe because there are other teams that have played quite well in the tournament. Spain 1, Italy 0. Spain dominant on the XG as well. 2 for Spain, 0.16 for the Italians.
Yeah, this didn't help last night either because at least with the USA-Scotland games, no one played after us. Yep. We were the late games. You just go to bed and forget about it till the next day. Yeah, this acted more like a hammer blow to the Southgate haters for those who watched Spain afterwards. And you can't argue against it. They were outstanding, Spain. It was nice to watch some good football after having watched England. But
both teams, in terms of Spain, had the majority of the possession. So I was looking at the passes, like they completed nearly 600 passes. Italy was like 440. So it wasn't like, they were behind, don't get me wrong. But I've seen Premier League games where teams have like less than 200 passes sometimes. Both teams seem to have kept the ball quite well.
Yeah, look, Donnarumma made 8 saves. Yep. Spain had 6 big chances. An XG of over 2 to Italy's 0.16, 20 shots in total. The difference, I think, where Spain have probably made themselves the most impressive team now, not to say that they're definitely going to go and win it, because they still feel like a team that might have vulnerabilities in them, but all the vulnerabilities we spoke about from the Croatia game didn't exist yesterday. Okay. They're just like a team that was going to be too good for the majority. Italy are not as strong as they were when obviously winning the European Championship a few years ago. I think we all know that. That's still really impressive, though. And you look at the setup, and on paper, it's not that dissimilar to England, which is like you've got Pedri, who can be your floater, is almost like your Bellingham. You've got this midfield too. I mean, Fabian Ruiz was outstanding. I don't know if PSG would consider selling him and what the asking price would be, but oh my God, he was so good next to Rodri, who we all know plenty about. And you look at the back four and you think, it's not the strongest back four. I mean, Carvajal's obviously really experienced. Laporte's playing in Saudi Arabia at the moment. Robin Lenormand is at Real Sociedad. We think he's going to join Atletico Madrid, but he's still inexperienced at this level. Yep. Ask Chelsea fans about Marc Cucurella and you'll get a really, really split opinion. Alvaro Morata, we've all been here and done this joke. Like, how good is this? The major difference here as well, the 2 wide players. Williams and
Nico Williams,
Lamine Yamal. I mean, Williams on that performance will have every club in Europe queuing for him. Yep. A little bit final decision making let him down a couple of times. Woof. I mean, to have Williams and Yamal on those 2 flanks and they hold Pedri it wide, the difference to say, so you could say, all right, Yamal versus Saka, fine. But then the Williams versus Foden's
always looking to come inside, right?
Yeah, it's not a criticism of Foden. And yet, if we all sat here and went, who would you pick? We'd all go, well, I want Phil Foden in my team. It's the same logic problem. But they hold the width so high and wide, they're really good 1v1. I mean, Williams in the first half give Di Lorenzo some real nightmares. Yep. And it allows the midfield more space to go and play and do their things. Pedri will drop short, which we want Jude to do it sometimes. Then at different points, he's going and disappearing and getting close to Morata. So there's a comparable there. Where you can't compare is the fact you've got 2 1v1 specialists out wide, whereas England only have 1 currently. And the way they play in midfield is the biggest difference. Rodri and Fabian Ruiz just go and get the ball off the centre-backs. Boom, go, play. Yeah. And I look at the makeup of England's squad again. You think, who's going to do that for us? Who's actually going to dictate the game? We've gone back to square one with England with how do we play out from the back? We can't keep the ball. And I felt like we'd got ourselves over that. It doesn't feel like we are. They were outstanding, Spain. From a fantasy perspective, obviously won their groups. So God knows what they do with their team for
I don't own
the
any
Albania
of them.
game.
I don't think I'll go to any for Limitless unless there's any hints in the press about who may start. If he says that I'm definitely giving someone to a game.
I think once we hit the last 16, I think I'll be having 4 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really good. They probably will, the way it's going to line up, probably will run into Germany in the quarterfinal, which is going to feel like a Titanic battle. One of the big ones obviously going to go there. This is why it's partly important that England win their group, is you avoid that side of the draw. Italy would disappoint him.
It's a hell of a tie now, though. Croatia, Italy.
I think
winner goes through.
Again, it doesn't need to be winner, does it?
I don't know if it's winner
for
goes
Italy,
through, but
a draw will be all right. That might be Italy's biggest problem going into this.
That they need a draw and Croatia need a win.
Well, yeah, because there's jeopardy then. But I also suspect, obviously Italy's goal difference is 0. If they lose to Croatia,
Croatia would end up on...
If they lost 1-0, they have a
points.
-1 goal difference and probably finish third. Unless Albania beat Spain, then they'd obviously finish bottom. I think that would be enough.
3 points with a -1 goal difference.
And I think that mentality is difficult to get yourself up for a game when you know that's possibly still going to be enough for you.
Yep.
Look at some of the other groups. I'm talking about in England's group now. It's not inconceivable that 3 points will finish second.
Yep.
So under this scenario, I think Italy will still end up getting out of the group. It does mean, obviously, if you finish third, you're going to walk into one of the big ones, possibly. I don't think that group is likely to knock into England if we win a group. Right. I think we're more likely to hit sort of Belgium or third from France's group is more likely, the third from those two groups. Yeah, Spain was so good, Suj. I don't see Italy going really deep in this tournament. And the path would at the moment be, if Italy do finish second in the group, that's ironic. It's the sort of quarter-final England to be looking at, and you wouldn't fear it, but also Italy won't have many games tougher than that.
Yep.
Just missing little things. Like, I really like Barella in midfield, but I felt like he got swamped at periods yesterday. I don't know if Jorginho had a problem, which is why he came off so early in the game. You don't have a 9 that gives you fear. You know Schumacher obviously really well. Yeah.
It's hit and miss.
Don't particularly fear it.
He does pick up goals, and his numbers, his stats are not bad, but his presence during the game isn't as... He's a poacher, really.
Chiesa, mainly because of injuries, is not the player that we thought he looked like it was going to be 3 years ago, where you went, he'll end up at like doing whatever he wants for his career. I'm not hugely impressed with Pellegrini. I think the fullbacks are interesting, Di Lorenzo and Di Marco. Calafiori's unlucky on obviously the own goal, but he's still an inexperienced player. There was large rumours he'd come out the team. I mean, reality is, if it wasn't for Donnarumma, I'd have got... If he'd finished 4-0 yesterday, no one would be blinking any different this morning. You'd have gone, yeah, that's about right. So Spain, hugely impressive.
Nice. Well, let's talk a little bit about fantasy. How's your match week 2 so far?
I mean, Suj, it's time for your revenge, isn't it, basically?
Well, my Germany triple defence has come in so far. 25 points off the 3 of them, which is tidy. Yeah. Having said that, I think they conceded 4 big chances to Hungary. I think Hungary had a not too bad XG compared to Scotland, who had nothing.
Germany earned their clean sheet against Hungary because it was ridiculous they didn't get one against Scotland.
That's how I would put it. Yeah. So I'm taking those points to the bank. I captained Petkovic on the Wednesday. I thought we'd go with a punt. And to be honest, even if...
I've already told them all. I talked you into it.
Yeah, I know. That's what I saw yesterday. I talked to... even if I'd captained Mittelstadt on 10... Mittelstadt on 10, I'd probably stick. But Tar and Rudiger, I would have rolled anyway. Yesterday would have been Kane. But again, with 6 points, I'm rolling that. So I've had returns from Kane, Rudiger, Mittelstadt, Tar.
Just clarify, you're going to move off the Kane captaincy on 6?
Yes.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Well, I've got Lukaku and Bruno Fernandes to come.
Did you watch Belgium?
Yeah, but Lukaku had the ball in the back.
You can only captain one of them 2 players, mate.
Oh, yeah.
So both
I'm
playing
go
Saturday.
Lukaku. Correct. But wait, I'm going to captain Sabitzer today because he's going to have his revenge on you saying you didn't like him as a pick.
That's a certain 10 point.
Bellingham and Petkovic. Bellingham's only 3, Petkovic 2. They're likely to come out for Fernandes, Cancelo. I've got Wout Face as well. It's flying in front of my face. So the only thing is, what would you do if you were a Pickford owner on 4 points? Because I've got Costa versus Turkey.
Flip
what
it.
Are you saying?
Flip it. I'm always...
The downside is 2 points. Yeah, the upside is
I'm always going to... Exactly
6.
that. Exactly that. What's your worst case? Probably lose 2. What's your best case? Clean sheet, saves, penalty, save. Yeah. Or, it's unlikely, but yeah, I would always be flipping that. As long as you had a goalkeeper coming in, you had a little bit of confidence in. If it's with respect, a goalkeeper from a team... hypothetically, the Romanian keeper playing Belgium this week. And I know they're really good defensively. Yeah, fine, but you would maybe think twice about that sort of one. If you've got a goalkeeper from a top nation, I think that's going in for me.
So I'm on 42 points at the moment.
Woof!
But obviously that will all change once my captain hits, whichever day it happens to be on.
Yeah.
Sabitzer today, come on.
Yeah, I've earned this revenge because it's not going well for me this week
really?
after a good match day.
How many points are you on?
So I'm on 19,
Ooh.
which everyone's got 10 of that in Mittelstadt.
4
for DeMarco last night is a bit of a bonus,
I'm
actually.
surprised
Yeah.
there's that many.
Well, the ball recoveries there does seem a huge randomness in it. It certainly adds weight into spend your money up top because there are cheaper guys who can get the returns for you.
Sure.
Jude's 3 points. For me, Havertz and Wirtz. I mean, I deserved it after taking the piss out of you. 1 pointers both taken off before the hour. I saw Wirtz going off and I was like, what are you doing? And then they panned to Havertz and he was looking confused. And I was like, oh, you're not taking him off as well, are you? Oh, yeah. So, as discussed yesterday, I think it's become clear with Germany, Mittelstadt, Gundogan and Musiala. Are the best ones to have, but we don't know that for Sunday. Obviously, you will see the German team. The only thing I would say is that I'm going to be on Limitless this week. I don't know how much I'm going to end up changing. Like, I think I'll probably put Kane in now, ironically, to go with Jude. I'll go 3 Germans, subject to what the team is. If it's the same team, I'm going Musiala, Gundogan, Mittelstadt. That's what I'll be going for, irrespective of I can spend more elsewhere and stuff like that. Portugal obviously could get their Group 1 technically. That would take Ronaldo and Fernandes out, but if they don't, they're definitely sticking. Might even be in the luxury where if Mbappe does play tonight, then
and
it's
him.
Mbappe back in maybe. But then if they win tonight as well, if they got theirs
done and dusted.
Well, they will be as well, unless Poland beat Austria and then beat France as well. I can't see that. So how much do they even need to bother? Supposedly Mbappe's desperate to play tonight. We'll see.
To be seen.
And Belgium I've got the Belgium guys, Lukaku, Trossard, Fass. There's every chance one will become De Bruyne. But I almost know I keep them because they'll definitely have something to play for in the last game, having lost the last one.
If they win, they still get 3 points. They can still get second place, but
no, I don't think there's a way they can factually be
eliminated tonight.
I don't. No, because technically, it still maybe finishes a third place even on 3 points, couldn't they?
Yep.
There probably is a way if who they're playing next is Romania, isn't it? So no, I don't think there's a way they could factually be out. I don't think.
Okay. Interesting. So your captains, just to clarify, today you're going with?
I'm going to Theo Hernandez, actually.
Nice.
Against the Netherlands tonight. I might go Ronaldo rather than Lukaku. On the thought process of I'm pretty confident that Turkey will give up chances, whereas Belgium really might find Romania a slog. But also at the same time, if they got an early goal, I could see them returning well in the game. So, yeah, I'm not expecting Hernandez to do me much tonight. If Hernandez pulls me 8-9, I'll sit on that this time, I think, rather than gamble it.
Cool.
So I've still got a lot of players to go, haven't I? So you can't say it's dead in the water till it's dead in the water. But yeah, Havertz and Wirtz are getting subbed out tomorrow.
Good. Cool. Listeners, thank you so much for tuning into a final episode of Euro 2024 for this week. I'm away for just over a week while I travel down. So it's James and friends, Clayton mainly, coming on to pod with you. There'll be other guests. We've got some patrons, no doubt, maybe.
Yeah, Calin Mates is going to do this pod with me Monday, which will obviously be a longer one, talking about today's game. Saturday, Sunday, that does include his...
And why he trolled us all on Romania.
Yes, that does include his Romania, obviously, playing on Saturday night.
Nice.
I think it'd be interesting as well to get Calin's opinion from over the water. What people on the outside saying about England.
Correct.
Be interesting as well.
And Calin, he's won our quite a few of our mini leagues and stuff as well.
Extremely good fantasy player.
He's playing Euro fantasy as well, right? So be interesting to see how his team is getting on. Wherever you are listening to the podcast, if you can hit the like, follow, subscribe button, whatever it might be, notification bells, wherever the podcast app of your choice is. And if you head over to Twitter or X, Planet FPL Pod, follow James. You'll publish a schedule for next week at some point, no doubt. And you'll be notified whenever our content goes live. Last but not least, public service announcement. Support the show at
patreon.com/Planet FPL.
That's the one, James. Because what's happening in July?
Well, because you're leaving the country and someone needs to keep paying my wages.
Exactly.
July's free on Patreon.
Free. So how are we going to pay your wages? Oh, you're not getting paid in July. I understand.
And you got to sign up if you pay for this month, you've got next month free.
Indeed. And there's going to be a lot of
all the content.
Exactly. There's going to be a lot of build up to the actual season, Premier League season, the end of the Euros. You'll get an insight into some really, really good additional content. Nico's Cancel Corner, where he's trying to get the show put off air. James is talking tactics.
Oh my God.
Away days. I haven't seen Away Days yet with Clayton in going to the Serbia
not watched
game.
it?
I need to watch that one. It's still on my backlog of content. Videos, Twitter stories.
Such a melt.
Quizzes.
He turns to his mate in the ground at half time and says, he's 1-0, isn't it?
He had a good time. So much additional content. Not only that, you get access to our Slack community where there's loads of engaged fantasy managers. We've got a Euro 2024 fantasy Slack channel as well at the moment. Just a whole bunch of good stuff. And as James said, keeps the lights on, keeps him in a job, keeps Nico in a job, and makes us grateful. But do it because you want to. No pressure if you don't. Keep the free content in your ears. Stay safe. Look after yourselves. Ciao for now.
Safe travels, boss. Have a great weekend, everyone. Cue music, please. Man child.